Today I'm joined by John, Rugby League player agent at XL Sports Management. Thank you for joining me.
You're very welcome.
So can you tell us a bit about your background and how you became a Rugby League player agent?
I've played the game for many, many years.
Yeah.
I've been coaching in the game for quite a lot of years, and I needed a break from rugby league. So in my coaching era, I did all the courses, and then my coaching era, I actually wanted to change. And my kids at the time, they were young and they wanted to play soccer. Your game.
Yeah.
So we went to soccer. I ended up, I just wanted to be a trainer, didn't want to coach. So I ended up being a trainer, coach, vice president of the club, brought a lot of dollars in there, did everything I did, ran development camps over there, set it all up. Then we went from soccer. My kids left soccer to go to rugby union and rugby league. I stayed in soccer for another year. It was painful. And then we followed rugby union with my kids and then rugby league.
Yeah, wow.
So I've been training kids for over 30 years. I run development clinics where I just take about 5 to 7 players every Sunday, Saturday. Before they go into Harold Matt's SG Ball, I work with them a bit and then put them off to managers.
Yeah, wow. So what does a typical day look like for you as a player agent?
I'm in the early stages, so a lot of player agents do this full-time for a living. I virtually work full-time hours with the footy world. But in saying that, I also luckily in control of a company, an air conditioning company that I'm the general manager of.
Oh, wow.
So I work around that.
Yeah.
I can take calls, have meetings anytime I like. I set the platforms there.
Yeah.
But my day with females is a lot harder than males. Being in the position that I am, we started this 8 years ago. No one even thought about girls. So we're obviously the biggest and we're way ahead of everyone in that arena. But being ahead of everyone, I'm always 2 years ahead of everyone with my programming and my schedules. So that brings a lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
I don't get to sit down with my family till about 9:30, 10:30.
God.
Yeah, it works well for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's exhausting. I guess with your contracts and, signing players, how do you approach negotiating contracts and deals for your clients?
With the development in terms of Lisa Fiola, Tash Gale or NRLW?
Well,
they're all totally different.
Yeah.
So with when we talk about Lisa Fiola, Tasha Gale, Harvey Norman, that's what we call under the New South Wales Rugby League banner, or the QRL, being the Harvey Norman competition in Queensland. We generally scout for a lot of these clubs. So we identify the player, we look at everything in the rawest material. So a raw player would be so attractive to me. We look at their body shape, we look at their speed and agility, how much work we need to fix.
Yeah.
And then we virtually, like a commodity in a way, in a bad way, but we virtually on-sell it to a club, but with no dollar figures.
Yeah, right.
So we become really good at what we do. I've been really good at it for a while, but now my team is up to scratch with it all. We know straight away when I get footage, I don't have to go through it all anymore. I give it to my right-hand man, Sam Gibson. Then I've got another guy called Sam Saar. We go through the footage. They go through it all. They cut it down for me. I look at it and I say yes or no, and then we put it through to a club. We've had yes all the time.
Yeah.
So if one club says no, very rarely, then there's another 3-4 clubs waiting.
Yeah. And
so we then negotiate. If they're from overseas, I don't follow money. Everyone thinks it's money. I think if I had my way, well, Lisa Fiola, Tasha Gale should never be about money. Harvey Norman should be, in a way, like game fees and everything like that.
Yeah.
I look at insurances. A lot of the clubs back then had no insurances. The Bulldogs tried a lot of different things that didn't work out for them, so I got a phone call from then Barry Ward. Said, how do we make this work? I said, give me full insurances and give me a development program. And that's how it started with the Bulldogs. So as long as we get insurances and we've got a good development program, this is after our training program, so we want them to get to NRLW. So we're virtually using clubs to get them developed, but it's up to the club to maintain those players.
Yeah, wow.
But if they're coming from overseas, what we started recently, we get them to pay for the return airfares. That's the very least. In terms of accommodation, work, club can help out and assist in terms of trying to find someone in that team that will rent out a room. We don't want any freebies because I actually want my players to work. When you work, you're responsible with finances and what your mentality is going to be like. And generally, someone in that team will have a spare room and they'll rent out a room for $250, $300 a week.
Cool.
They get to training, they get to the games, and they got a job.
Yeah.
So it works out really well. When it gets to NRLW, I've got this golden rule. To me, it's always a 2-year apprenticeship period. So the first 2 years in NRLW, being that my players are so young, we get them in at the age of 18, 19, 20, they need to spend 2 years understanding that the training ethics in NRLW is totally different from Lisa Fiola, Tasha Gale, and even Harvey Norman. So when you're playing in a local development club like the Bulldogs, you've got your entry level into understanding what your weight program looks like, what your nutrition looks like, what your speed and agility is like, your comm session. You're learning all these different type of agendas and training programs. But when you go into NRLW, every single person that's played NRLW would tell you this. It's an eye-opener. Every single training session is competing. You're competing at every single training session. So when you're competing, you don't even know whether you're going to be in that team that following week. So it's a real mental test for these guys. So we try and prepare them for that. So when you've got to go for that, we try to get them into a contract, and it's 80% of players have to be on minimum. They can't just go to a marquee player. And then you've got to earn that value going up. So we teach you how to earn value, a lot of things. So getting them in, they agree with what we've seen, and they'll sign them up. And generally, we try and keep them at the club for 2 years, and then it's up to the club to retain them. It's not up to us. And then we negotiate a lot of other things. But there's a lot of hidden things in there. So the minimum contract is one thing. Then we've got to go through the contract and see relocation allowance, rental assistant, full insurance is mandatory also. These are all things that the NRL provide for these players that players don't even know about. So there's a fair bit of work behind the scenes.
So I guess talking about the players that you go to sign and get these opportunities for them, what is, you obviously would have a strict process. What do you kind of look for?
From the beginning to the end, we do things really unique. So I've been in the business world for quite a while, and I understand the game. And funny enough you say this, because everything I did wrong with my sons and players, I've corrected, and I've created a program, so to speak, where I look for raw talent. I don't look for a skillful player. A skillful player that scores so many tries and line breaks, they're very minimal skills that I look for. I look for someone's body condition. I look for their speed, the way their agility is. I look at their post-contact meters, their tackle tech. The biggest thing for me is the effort on effort. When you're on the left-hand side and the ball's on the right side, what's your body language like? What's your playing attitude like? These things are very big boxes for me. If you look at the toe and knee eyes, for example, they weren't known in New Zealand, only around their small arena. And they were so raw. They weren't even that great. They were just raw. What they did is show that they never gave up. I remember games of Alexis when she was 17. She was playing in this tournament, and this girl was doing so much, and she's going to gas out. She's going to gas out. She's gone. At 35-minute mark, she's still there. She comes on, she plays another 35 minutes with the same intensity. I go, wow. So I knew she was a massive hit. Every player, like I've got a couple more coming in this year from New Zealand that no one even knows about. No one even knows their name. I've seen some things in players that I know they are going to be playing NRLW. Clubs don't know them, coaches don't know them. Once we know we want that player, I spend about an hour and a half to 3 hours with each player and their parents. I've got this program. We talk about priorities, and I ask them a simple question. What is number 1, 2 in your life? And I've got majority say family. And I get some that say God comes first. And I say it's fantastic, so I keep going. Some say my boyfriend. Some would say my education. I've had a few that says no, footy comes first. So is footy more important than parents? Oh no, parents are more important. I'll tell you what shocks me the most. I expect like about 10 or 20 number 1 things in their life. The majority of players are no more than 5, which is fantastic. It means we're growing as a society. The ones that talk about family, I give them really good examples of that. So I told them we have strict priorities to join Excel Sports. I want you and you want to jump on board, but we have to be on the same page for it to work out. So I recap their priorities and I tell them our priorities are family, faith and you. It's got nothing to do with football. Family, faith, number 1. I got something more valuable than number one, because family and faith don't work. What's that? I can tell you comfortably, and I'm going to be generous here, I'm going to say 5% of players get it. It's yourself, family, faith and you.
Yeah.
If you can't have goals in your life, if you can't be a better person in your life, how are you going to be able to put family first or God first? Regardless of what religion you are, if you don't put yourself first in adding those values, if you don't know how to treat yourself like your body is your temple rather than just give it away cheaply, if you can make better decisions, if I'm going to train, if I want to make something, I'm going to do everything I can to get there.
Yeah.
If you don't get those values, nothing else comes first. The worst part about it is, the better you are as a person, the more your eyes are opened up to a weird, woke society.
Yeah.
You see so much pain out there.
Yeah.
But that tests you.
Yeah.
Then we talk about the second value, which is sports, education, career.
Yeah.
So I ask them a question like, in your education, if you're at school, most of them are, out of 100%, English, maths, science, whatever you're studying, what is your average mark out of 100%?
Yeah.
Some say 70, some say... If they say 80, I always take away 10, because everyone gloats about it.
Yeah.
Very few say in the 90s. So if you get an average score of 80 or 70, would it be fair to say that you've put 70 to 80% in your studies to get that 80%?
Yeah.
Imagine you put 100% in. You've got a better chance of being in the 90s, for example.
Yeah.
For me, an educated player is always a smarter player.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know how to do something on the field, you create some sort of formula in your head, how to make it work.
Yeah.
I need to put more muscle on my left hand to make the right hand more balanced. You make formulas in your head.
Yeah.
So we talk about training is about, we ask for 10 to 15 hours a week, all up, even your own training. So an average person is 8 to 12 hours a week.
Yeah.
We say you spend 8 to 12 hours a week on training, a game say an hour on average, all right?
Yeah.
We're talking about Lisa Fiola, Tasha Gale. NRLW goes for 80 minutes. So 80 minutes versus 8 to 10 hours, what's the value in you?
Yeah.
What is the value put? Everyone knows the values in the training. So what are you worried about the game? You're nervous, aren't you?
Yeah.
Forget those nerves. Let's work on the things we don't do really well. Get your body shape right. Work on your passing game, your kicking game. All the things that aren't working for you, focus there.
Yeah.
The game should be the place you put in place everything you practice.
Yeah.
Put it on the park. That's what makes a better place. That philosophy for me creates what you can see now is the best players that we got.
Yeah, for sure.
In saying all that, with the nerves, we put them in a routine to say, and I got this from a family called the Bulldog. They're a perfect football family. They've got kids that are at the Bulldogs. They're a Queensland-based family.
Oh, really?
Salome and Charlie Borg. They came to one of my sessions over there, and out of the blue, they spoke beautiful common sense to families. And they said, you need to become a professional athlete, understand how to become one. But the parents need to understand what a professional athlete is. So we get them to a stage to become an athlete by putting in place, nutritional diets, weight programs, your sprint coaching programs, and then your 1% classes with us.
Yeah.
Then we get your mental capacity right. That's becoming an athlete. When you get to the NRLW, and a lot of people fail this, you need to learn how to become a professional athlete. You're on your way to become a professional athlete. How do you handle yourself in the social media world? How to add value to your own personal life, not just football, to your brand yourself. So how do you present? So social media should be about family, should be about your training, should be about the best times with your friends. Not about yourself when you're playing, because others are doing it for you.
Yes, true.
So we teach them those values. For me, one is family, faith and you. 2 is sports, career, education. And number 3 is, the funniest one is called I don't care. Because if you can get that right, whatever you've got time for there, that's your number 3.
Yeah. I guess talking about values, a team that has really good values is that Lisa Fiola Bulldogs team. So I think there was obviously a lot of controversy because that team was extremely stacked with a lot of New Zealand players. What kind of happened there?
I love how you said it was extremely stacked. I'll ask you this question. We brought over 7, Excel Sports brought over 7 players from New Zealand. So out of the 7 players, did anyone in Australia or even New Zealand, did they know who these people are?
Yeah, true.
So how is it stacked?
Yeah.
I didn't bring over an Ali Brigginshaw.
Yeah, true.
I didn't bring over a Bobby Law.
Yeah.
I didn't bring over a Taka Katoa. I brought over kids that no one even knows over there.
Yeah.
Only their own little circles. So how is that possibly stacked?
Yes.
What I did is find players. They're playing in comps to make a tournament. Then the tournament is different divisions versus each other, or different groups versus each other all over New Zealand. There's so many tournaments. Excuse me. So the goal over there is to get noticed.
Yeah.
Well, I've just noticed you. They are normal human beings like players over here. But we live in a society in Sydney, Queensland, where it's so important to have how many followers on social media, what looks cute. Oh, look, I've got a boyfriend and he's really good looking. This is what we post, not what you're actually trying to achieve. So I say in not a negative way, but there are better values with these players that are sacrificing finances. Families might have to move to Australia. Families might have to send their daughter to Australia to live with someone they don't even know. They're nobody, yet they're not rich. They're sacrificing. So I've got a lot of slack over that. How do you stack up one team? It's the first time I've actually helped get players into Lisa Fiola. I don't usually do that, but I'm going to continue doing that. But I think you'll find, and I said at the beginning of the year, before they went to pre-season, I said it to the club and I said it to the coach, this team will go through undefeated. And I said, I don't care about the results. They'll be the premiers. I don't care about that either. I want development. So I said also, I can guarantee you New South Wales Rugby League won't allow it to happen again. So when they won 94-0, 98-0, the truth is, I'm just shocked that they didn't reach 150 because they needed a bit more work. I'll tell you something that I haven't told anyone before. This is an exclusive for Watch Her Footy. I'm telling you now, as their manager, I've got other people in that team, mind you, but the 7 I brought from New Zealand, this has never happened in the history of the game. All 7 players have got NRLW locked in already.
Jeez.
Locked in.
You touched on it earlier with the development, and you've been around, I guess, the women's space longer than anyone. How have you seen these junior girls evolve in terms of their skills and everything? I know you're saying that, you know, they've started and they've got a lot to work on, but you've probably seen it when it was really, really bad, and now obviously you're signing 17, 18, 20-year-olds.
15-year-olds.
15-year-olds who probably are performing extremely different to how those, you know, Millie Boyles and Ali Briggenshaws would have performed at that age.
With the Millie Boyles and Ali Briggenshaw, and I'll tell you what I love about Ali, she's not the most skillful player in the world, but she's the most hungriest player in the world. She's the most experienced player in the world. She's got that attitude like she's going into battle. She just wants to win. She wants to win. She wants to compete. These are the girls I look up to. These are the girls that I actually enjoy watching. But I look at the skill level. They weren't taught. There wasn't a me then. They might have a me in a different version. At a 15-year-old, I get excited about signing the 15-year-old, not an 18-year-old. I find it easier to fix them up. When I get you at 15 and I've identified you, I can almost guarantee you're going to play NRLW. So in management, I became an agent 8 years ago because I can't stand agents. I actually don't like agents. and I say that respectfully because it's like a money grab. They're giving us a bad name to the game. I became an agent to be different so that I don't have to send players to an agent because they've all failed. 10% of what I do is management. Negotiating contracts, getting into a club. I do that with my eyes closed. That doesn't faze me at all. 90% what I do is about what I told you about our priorities. So it's well-being and mentoring. And the most important part about it is our development. So I get them developed in my way, so when they go into a club, they're now well ahead of everyone else. So the first thing club asks you, what's your Bronco time? We don't want them in our system unless they arrive in our system at a 5:30 Bronco.
Wow. That's intense.
And then we get it. So utility players, we get them to break the 5. So when you go to a development, a pre-season with a club, you're going to stand out. So if you notice, all my players that I got, they're all in the starting lineups because of our training. So had the Millie Boyles and Ali Briggenshaws had this sort of training back then, they might have, but it's different than mine. Can you imagine the game in 5 years' time from now?
Incredible.
These players that have been around that set the platform for everyone, they might be outpowered, might be outrun.
And you are seeing that a little bit now already with the younger girls coming in. and watching the Lisa Fiola, Tasha Gale, those girls are super strong. Like, it's a different game out there now, and I'm excited to see where they head. To change the topic, with the NRLW expansion, with the Bulldogs and the Warriors, I know that you're a big advocate for that, and I know that there are a lot of others that are not big advocates for that. Why are you so for it?
So let's look at it that I could possibly be the minority that was for the expansion, and the majority is not have expansion. I publicly said it, and I didn't mean any malice to it. I said, I find these people uneducated, and I mean sports uneducated, the game uneducated. What hurt me the most is when you got players that have been in the arena for a while and they got they're on the centre stage saying that expansion, we're not ready, we don't have the platforms yet, we don't have the depth yet. How do you know? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Because your information is actually incorrect.
Yeah.
I have the depth. I can stack up 2 teams now.
Yeah.
And we're doing that now.
Yeah.
The skill level, I've just showed you girls that are 18.
Yeah.
15 getting signed up from now, but they're on a program.
Yeah.
By the time when they first started versus when our girls are starting, they're way ahead.
Yeah.
So they got a program in place. I found it offensive in a way, because the one thing that hurt me the most is when you were playing for Lisa Fiola, or there was no Lisa Fiola, it was only 4 games or 1 game, 1 weekend. When you're playing Tasha Gale, then Harvey Norman, and you're doing anything you possibly can to make the NRLW.
Yeah.
Did you forget that pain?
Yeah.
So what have to inflict that pain onto these girls?
Who are trying.
Why? So the sad part is I had that many NRLW players ring me. I don't manage all of them. I've had a lot of non-managed players send messages to me to say, we support you 100%, we agree with you 100%. But it's like a cult, like a union. If the leaders speak up, we have to copy what they do.
Yeah.
But we've had girls that are trying to make NRLW agreeing with these girls publicly, but they're trying to get in themselves.
Yeah.
But they don't realise these girls are stopping you from doing that.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, the NRL is a corporation. They're just not made up of people that just were based on what people's opinions were. They got a business model.
Yeah.
The business model clearly states that the players don't own the game. They are part of the game.
Yeah.
The corporation owns the game. The corporation, it's about money. So they want to expand it. The sponsors are pouring money into it. Harvey Norman, Telstra, they're pouring money into this program. And I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
So the expansion is inevitable. So I can tell you comfortably, I knew the expansion was happening. I already knew this. No one's going to stop it, because the governing body said it's going to happen. In saying that, we're that far ahead that I can almost guarantee you that every year they're trying to get 2 new teams added. The CEOs of every single club have signed off on who's going next.
Yeah, wow.
Now it's up to the NRL to prepare these clubs to say, okay, we'll accept those, but are you ready for it? What's your depth like?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think the next 2 that are going to be extended, so this is another exclusive for you.
Yeah.
If Penrith are ready, I can guarantee you they're going to be locked in. And I've got a really good feeling it's going to be Manly.
Really?
Yeah.
So not Rabbitohs?
Rabbitohs were never ready.
Yeah, right.
They might have the teams. They don't have the depth. They don't have investment in programs, but they can easily turn it around. They've got a bit of experience. They might play for the 27 or 26 entry.
Yep.
I think Rabbitohs will probably come in at 27. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I guess talking about the Warriors and the Bulldogs, how did that, you said there were conversations and CEOs are looking at bringing in their clubs, but how was that decision kind of formed? Do you have any insight on that?
When you say formed, like you mean from other clubs agreeing to this, or how did they want to believe that they were ready for it?
Yeah, how?
So let's look at the hard one is the NRL want the Warriors in there.
Yeah. We
need the Warriors back. They publicly said, we're going to give you back the license, but be ready for it.
Yeah, okay.
So that was a done deal. Then you had the Bulldogs were the other team that put their name up. Then where did South come from? I just feel there's some board people over there that says, no, put your name in there. Okay, we'll put our name in there. After public stating that we're not ready for it, then you say, oh, no, we're ready for it. Then you say, we're actually not ready for it. If you look at the Bulldogs, they didn't just get the girls team formed.
Yeah.
They had it for a while.
Yeah.
But they invested wrong. So I've been working with them for the last 2 years. I'm not I've got no deal with the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
I've been helped supply because they supply me insurances.
Yeah.
I asked them to supply me coaches. The last couple of years, they were minor premiers in Tashkal last year and they lost to the Roosters. Lisa Fiola didn't start yet, but they came second on the ladder, Harvey Norman, last year, and they lost in the grand final. That was a great first year. I stacked up with a lot of players.
Yeah.
This year, Lisa Fiola's in. Minor premiers, undefeated, but we predict this before it started.
Yeah.
Tasha Bell finished second on the ladder and lost in the semis.
Yeah.
To me, look where the Bulldogs proved themselves. But they put money into it, a lot of money. They got a lot of sponsors.
Yeah.
They're still trying to get their development right. They're nowhere near it. I'm still not happy with that.
Yeah.
I guess the best thing that happened to Bulldogs is when they submitted it, they put a big proposal in.
Yeah.
And they covered all avenues from financial assistance, everything, to say you can't say no to them. They were always going to get it. I can tell you now. There was rumours that Souths are going to get in and Bulldogs going to be out. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So if you think about the politics behind it all, the noise that comes from media makes everyone think it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think the Bulldogs at one stage, everything they'd done, they were going to get in. But it was up until the last couple of weeks where we knew they were going to get in.
Yeah.
Warriors actually were 100% guaranteed. Then a couple of weeks out, they probably weren't. The Rabbitohs started to look good, but the Rabbitohs weren't ready. So I think it was the ARL came to the assistance of the Warriors to say, we're going to support you.
Yeah.
Is it going to be successful? I don't think so yet. But we can't turn our back on them because they're going to have NRLW and Harvey Norman because that's a reserve grade now. What I want to see the Warriors is find more investment put in there and get Tasha Gal and Liz Fiola. Like they do with Harold Matz and SG Ball and Jersey Flegg.
Yeah.
If not Liz Fiola, have a development clinic, not travel, but have Tasha Gal, Harvey Norman. That'd be their next step.
Yeah.
I think they need a good 5 years to find their feet, but they need to maintain that financial support to make sure they get there. The Bulldogs are going to be self-sufficient, I believe.
Yeah.
Gus Gill, love him or hate him, I've become a massive fan.
Yeah.
He's actually got the biggest brain in the game. If you see what he does behind the scenes, no one sees this, but he's like a spines coach.
Yeah.
He's like a coach's coach. He's a mentor. He knows the game. He does it publicly. So if he's part of the Bulldogs, I can see Bulldogs' 5-year plan realistic. So I know that watch out for the third year that they're in there. They're going to probably be in the top 4.
Yeah.
That's what I predict.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you face?
I'll tell you what the biggest challenges I face are that many don't think about. So on an accredited player's agent's perspective, parents are my biggest challenges. We got a young player that's 15, 16, 17 to 21 that is still trying to learn her steps in life.
Yeah.
They have goals. Remember when you were young?
Yeah.
You had goals.
Yeah.
And you generally rely on your parents to help you get guided through those goals. But we have parents that believe they are the coach and they are the manager. They don't need anyone. And I don't blame them in many ways because there's a lot of bad names or a lot of bad thoughts about player agents. And I'm telling you, I agree with all of it. But if you understand what this agreement or what this management about with Excel Sports, then you realise the best possible chance to get into the NRLW is through an agent and preferably with Excel Sports if you fit the criteria. In saying that, the mentality based around education of the game, how do we get there for the game, it's who you know, that's all bullshit. Everything we do is about earning your position, earning your spot. And the biggest problem I have is with these young girls, we're very big on the well-being side of things. I'm being an ambassador for White Ribbon Violence Against Women. We want girls to add value in their personal lives. And the one thing that drew me to your page, I'm going to ask you a question. And I want to tell you what drew me to your page. I want to know what was the reason for you creating this page, not coming from football background, soccer background, mind you, our position, social media experience, which is gold. You and your partner Alex are big on that stuff. But I believe there's something deeper that made you do that, and that's what drew me to your page. Do you want to tell me what that was about?
Well, I mean, you came on when I think I only had 200 followers, which was crazy. And I think I got a lot of really great insight from Richard, which I'll touch on later. But I guess for me, starting the page, being a female in sport, having, I guess, not to be too deep, but a pretty traumatic upbringing as well, I think I could see the value in sport, and I loved being able to kind of step away from my personal life and be in that environment. And then watching it as I grew up and seeing these women who have their personal life, who are mothers, who have children, who have full-time jobs, and trying to balance that lifestyle with being an athlete, I just couldn't grasp my head around being a part-time athlete and having that personal life. And I think I really wanted to add that value of highlighting what these women go through. And I was speaking to Richard Fadel, actually, the Eels board member, and he touched on it that, you know, men, they might have had a traumatic upbringing, which kind of would help them in their personal life to become an athlete. But he also said that a lot of growing the game now is these athletes kind of highlighting themselves, the lifestyle that they have to have, and having that part-time athlete, season, and then also having their personal lives with full-time work, with their kids, with their families, having to uplift their life for those few weeks. I think I really wanted to bring that onto the page. So I hope I'm doing that.
You said something that I was looking for, and I got onto your page at low followers. I started sharing your page because I believed in you then. I still do. But there was something, I monitored your page for a while to see what was your purpose. If it was just another one that was just about another social media hype and to be on that big platform. No, I felt personally, and you said it, you had a traumatic part of your life, and that's personal. I felt that you went through something, and then you were sort of, in a way, offended by the mistreatment of women in the way, well, why aren't they looked after? Why isn't no one talking about what they got to go through? Being mums, being still having a job. So I can't wait for that CBA to come out in 2028, where I think it needs to be minimum doubled. Because there is no reason why there can't be equal pay. And I know all the guys say it's not possible, but it is. They're doing the same hours, they're doing the same training, they're doing the same game time, they do the same work, and there's so much more that they do. I get equal pay in some areas doesn't work, but in the game of sports as professional, I think we need to start getting that gap closer. But what drew me to what you were doing, you were that voice that I'm trying to achieve with Excel Sports. We weren't about the money. I'll tell you something, when we started, the NRL players were getting paid $1,000.
Wow.
I put on that one page I'm allowed to write that we won't be charging any fees until they make the NRLW.
Wow.
But if they make it the NRLW, that amount needs to be more than $30,000. Back then when it was $1,000, so even if you made it, we weren't charging you. So my purpose was to fix the game and get people an easier pathway, get these players to have become those professional athletes, put them on a pathway. Your purpose was actually as powerful as what my purpose was, whereas you want to be the voice for women, and I think we still got so much more that you can add to it. So I think we need to find a way to get you to do this on a full-time basis with your partner Alex. There's so much more awareness we can give these. You're the speaking voice. I see the comments, these girls that actually get into tears and they're so happy that you're speaking on their behalf. And you're the sort of person that says, when we're talking about expansion, the player said no, well, that's a union to me. You're the says, well, I don't understand why we can't. You actually said, in a way, I get everyone's view, but I believe it should be expanded. So if we can get someone that's neutral to say, I want to speak on behalf of these young girls that are 15, 16 going up there. I want to speak on their behalf. And if I can get advice for you from experienced NRLW players or coaches, I'm going to do that for you. But I think we need to find a way, and I'm going to try and help in many ways, but to get these clubs that have female pathways to invest some sort of a salary sacrifice if they can all join in and make this a permanent thing, fly you in, fly you out, get you a fee for it. No, I think we can achieve it. And we need everyone's support. If your guys are connected, if you're a coach, you're a board member, if you're part of a club, this is proving that you actually value your female pathways. I used to start thinking, in my early days, I believed NRL clubs didn't really care about their female pathways. They just set it up, pay the fee, and turn a blind eye. I'm starting to believe clubs are now realising how the game's going. So I really do think if you're a senior member or you're a board member or you're a coach or even Phil Gould, we need to find a way to get the voice of the people that are 15 going up, like Watch Her Footy, find some sort of funding to get this to be a full-time basis.
That would be incredible. And it's something that I've actually been, dreaming of, Alex and I, like if we could make this a full-time thing, like we're in Rugby League Guru's studio right now. He's made this full-time and that's in the men's space. Imagine if someone did come on board while we're still growing, the game is still growing and my page is still growing. This could be something huge, and I think the players have come on.
It's not could be; it will be something huge.
Yeah, good language.
The Guru, and I've become a fan mainly because not because of his concert, where it's pretty good, but the fact that he supported you and say use my studio. You had to fly down here, so use my studio.
Incredible.
That's bloody gold. In saying that, so follow the Guru also. But I'm saying you're the voice for these people, and I think it's mandatory to happen, and I think we can make it happen. So I think everyone that's got connections, if you're a child that your parents are board members, they need to speak up. If you're Phil Gould's child, speak to him today.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And I think I've been mentioning to the players that I've had on, I'm trying to create a platform in a space that I can speak on the fans' behalf, on the family's behalf, parents' behalf, the players, and be able to give everyone a voice in this area, because I think it's really important not to shut other people down. Like the players, of course, they'll be opinionated in some areas, but the fans also should have a say. They're the ones that are growing the game and helping it grow. So to be able to create a space and a platform where everyone can have a say is incredibly important to me, and that's what I hope I can continue to keep doing.
There are young girls that are now looking at playing rugby league.
Yes.
Because they believe they can be the next Tyler Nathan Wong or Millie Boyle. They're the sort of players that we need to bring in to create that expansion. And I think your platform's done that. Yeah,
thank you. I wasn't ready for this.
Coming from a soccer player.
Yeah, a soccer player.
Were you good at soccer, by the way?
I played NPL, which is actually the league below A-League, so I did play that for a couple of years, and I would say.
But that's in Brisbane, right?
Yeah. So
Brisbane's not known for soccer, so anyone could have made that.
No, they couldn't. If you come, guys, on Thursdays to my futsal games, my social futsal games, I'm a gun. I am. No, but it is funny to come from a football background and then be kind of thrown into this space, and I know that I need to kind of be more involved and like learn more about the players and more about the game. And even doing the skills session yesterday with Rob, it really gave me that respect for what these women have to put their bodies through, being women as well, and then having to work full time and get their bodies through these challenging days and only have that short season, and then the rest of the year kind of have their own personal life. It is a lot, and I think mentally and physically I don't think a lot of people understand and appreciate what these women have to go through. And
yeah, that's one thing that I don't think is appreciated.
No.
It's heartbreaking in a way.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're exposing it all.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I guess, finally, what advice do you have for the young female athletes aspiring to play NRLW?
We've heard these things from so many athletes, and even outside of football, when you talk about people that are successful in business, people that have achieved something in life, they all say, don't give up. Well, it's funny, it's like touche. But when you think of a player, I'll say this. If you look at the best players in the games and the up-and-comings that people don't even know about, they all have 2 hands and 2 legs. And I've got this, 2 things. I always say this. Learn to love what you hate. And what you hate is the pain of fitness. The more you can learn to love it, the better your chances of getting somewhere, because that's your first part. And just recently, and I've been a big believer of God, I got this song in my head that says, God did. God did. So what that tells me is that if a person has achieved the goal, it means you can. So if you look at these players, look, I can't go that fast or I can't hit that, but you definitely can.
Yeah.
So training, having the right mentality, having the right support network, get your parents to understand what your goals are, and don't say, I'm just going to be playing, I want to play NRLW. No, I always say, I want to play for my country, and NRLW is the journey on the way. But to get there, I need to start doing baby steps. So when we start getting the plane to a pre-season session, so we don't cane you. We get you to a benchmark. That's your new benchmark.
Yeah.
We equal that, then better it. Equal it, better it. Don't go for it. Never go like that. Always go like that.
Yeah.
So I say God gives us the power to say we all can do it.
Yeah. I know that was my final question, but I actually thought of another one. When we're thinking about personalities in the game, because, you know, you say values is really important, what, you know, I guess you see the younger girls and you know the big athletes in the NRLW. How along that journey would you suggest that women and girls keep their personality? I guess, you know, fame comes into it and being recognised and all of that, but how do they kind of progress through that?
That is such a good question. And I deal with this a lot, and I've had to rein some of these players back in to calm down with social media stuff. Do you remember young MJ? That was a hooker for the Leeds Viola team.
Yeah.
She's a girl that is going to be school captain next year. She's on a scholarship in education. She wants to become a lawyer. Her family have got these values in place, and they've said, all right, well, her reward is also give her a football career because she loves it. Her punishment of things that didn't work out, like a mistake in the game or an injury, is to go for a jog. It's to punish yourself. So that family is a football family. But the best family that I started with, there's so many, all our families are like this now. And the better they get it right, the better they are. And a good example I always use is the Taiwanese. We've got this really good relationship. I've got nothing hidden from them. They 100% of the times go on my advice. But I've got this thing with them where I say, don't go on my advice. Hear my advice, sit down as a family and see what suits your family. And then if you go against my advice, I'm still going to support you. So fortunate enough, my advice has been exactly on the same page as them. As a family, they forget that there's a mother, there's a father, and there's a siblings and yourself. They sit down, they talk about football, they have respect for each other, and they go through everything, and then have fun, do whatever you need to do, but these are the boxes you need to tick.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a journey, have your team. In the Taiwanese space, their team is their mum and dad, their siblings and their agent. And my agency is with a lot of other people behind me too. A lot of other coaches, mentor. I've got New Zealand mentors that are amazing. They're all over New Zealand, headed by a guy called Michael King. They are stricter than we are.
Yeah.
So when they are putting forward a player, we say, you want to come over to play Lisa Fiola, Tasha Gale, Harvey Norman, this is Fiola, you need to be here.
Yeah.
Those 7 players, they were here. They were going down NRLW pathways. You want to play Tasha? Be here.
Yeah.
So in saying all this, you've got to have your manager as one network, but you've got to remember you've got a family. They know you better than we do. They know if you can handle being in Melbourne or in Queensland. They know if you can cope without your mum's cooking.
Yeah.
That's the parents' role. That's our role. Good network.
Yeah. And you mentioned New Zealand. I guess you go over to New Zealand to scout for players a lot. What's the talent?
And we do training camps. We started that this year.
Yeah, cool.
And we're heading to Wellington soon, and you gave me an idea.
Yeah.
So we get sponsorship to do these trips. So someone pays for us to go look at these.
Wow.
And we don't make money out of this. We just pay for the things.
Yeah.
I've got an idea, and I'll jump on it as soon as I get out here and go in the car.
Yeah.
We're close to getting a sponsor for our Wellington training camp.
Wow.
I want to see if you want to, we'll get you over there too with us.
Oh, could you imagine that?
Then you can now see, if I can get you to see what we scout for, so you go to a couple of games with us. There's a tournament, national tournament. When we're looking at a national tournament, you get to see the really good talent there.
Yeah.
We'll get you to see what we see. I'll show you exactly what I look for.
Yeah.
I've taken coaches over there. I've looked at people. They look at totally different things. What I pick, you'll understand a lot better. And then you come to our training camp that we do over there from, we just sort of give back.
Yeah.
It's not for our players, it's open to everyone else.
Yeah.
Get you to see a bird's eye view of exactly what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Then you can come back and then you'll be able to explain
Really
that there's so much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll make it happen.
That would be amazing. This might get you in trouble.
Let's go. I love trouble.
But I know obviously you've got a lot of female athletes that you look after. But if you could name your top 5
Oh, wow.
that we really, really, really should look out for, who are they?
To be fair, I'm not going to do NRLW.
Okay.
I can't.
All right.
It's just not right.
Yeah. Upcoming.
Because if I don't say a name like Alexis Toanei,
Yeah.
she'll give me that emotionless look where she does already. I can't deal with that. Her parents would know this.
Yeah.
And we just spoke to take her on the phone. That's another one that would say, okay, G. So I'm going to tell you this. I can tell you comfortably that you look at Evelyn Roberts.
Yeah.
She's left this competition now, gone to Queensland. She's straight into training. She's playing as we speak in that schoolgirls competition now.
Yes, yeah.
She's already got player of the match I don't know how many times.
Incredible.
She's already got clubs ringing say, can we keep her over here? These clubs don't know that she's going to be locked in on a pathway already. You've got Mary Jane Talto, another absolute weapon. You've got Sarai Pale is the giant of a human being.
Yes.
And there's a girl called Giovanna Suwani, who just got her ACL done.
Yeah,
she's on the NRLW pathway because everyone knows what damage she did when they played NRLW. It was Varna, Soraya, Trinity. That was 60 to 70 metres every single time, just those 3.
Wow.
When Varna got injured, they were 40 to 50 metres, sometimes 30. That's how big she was. But I've got girls not from New Zealand that I'd say have a look out for. A girl called Kiana, the winger, Vatabu Bua,
I'll
from
put it
Fiji.
in properly, yeah.
She's the fastest human being in Lisa's Viola that I haven't seen anyone faster.
Wow.
But she came from rugby union. She doesn't know the game.
Yeah,
This is the
right.
first year in rugby. She doesn't know nothing about football. Once we get that right, she'll be a big name player like a Tegan Berry.
Yeah, right.
And then Tegan's been in the game for a long time, and Tegan's actually earned her spot. She's a lot stronger,
Yeah.
a lot smarter. This girl reminds me of Tegan. You got a girl called, and I use this a lot and annoys people, Abby Fuzz.
Yeah.
Abby Fuzz was the number 14 for the Bulldogs, Lisa Viola. She's by far one of my favourite players in a way, in the mental space way, where when she gets on the field, she doesn't know if she's going to be in the halves, hooker, centre, forward. She doesn't know where she's going.
Yeah.
She can play all those positions and no one's taught her a specific position. When they threw her in the halves with no training, no nothing, this girl plays the best percentage player of football, real eyes up, blows me away.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Abby Fuzz fan. Then I find out she's the granddaughter of Gary Hughes. Her uncles were Corey Hughes,
Yep.
that played the game.
Yep.
They're icons in the game. Like Gary Hughes is part of the Hughes brothers. They were massive in the Bulldogs era. And Gary's like a good mentor, was part of the general manager of football, was part of the board of the Bulldogs. At the end of the day, she's got a bloodline and she reminds me of her granddad. And I didn't know that was her granddad. She's like a footballer.
Yeah.
A footballer. And there's so many different aspects for different players, but I really do have guns everywhere.
Yeah.
I think the top 5 will be all of them.
Yeah. Is that going to be a good answer? You've got to make everyone happy, I guess.
I can't. I actually do rate them all.
Yeah.
I can't.
Evelyn Roberts is incredible.
Do you want to know something about Evelyn Roberts?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks she's a freak.
Yeah.
I'm not happy.
Oh, really?
I'm actually not happy with how she plays. Evelyn Roberts, when we got her from New Zealand, she's the most dynamic eyes-up player. Then something changed along the way. And I just said to her, this is not us. Go back to what we brought you and start working on these strengths. The best of Evelyn Roberts hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Where MJ, you can see the way she plays. She's just psychotic. She controls. She barks. She just fights. For a small girl, she'll knock anything down. But I think we haven't even seen Evelyn Roberts. And I just watched parts of a game on the way here in the morning. of what she played yesterday, and she was man of the match. Like, she's just blows me away.
Yeah.
And no one, and she's playing lock over there. No one even knows who Evelyn Roberts is.
Yeah.
Blows me away.
So obviously you said that you like pick up on things, I guess, with Evelyn Roberts that you picked her up for in the first place. Then you're saying you're watching her game and you've got insight, oh no, let's go back to this. What about, how does that conflict, I guess, you might not be able to speak on it, but Evelyn being a player and having to hear insight from her coach and then also insight from you?
This is something I'll say, and this might get me in trouble, but I've never given a shit about that.
Yep.
So we look for good coaches, coaches that can develop, but it's not the coach's fault. We need a club to have a development program. So if you look at the Dogs, the way they train the Harold Matts SG Bull, it is so strict in there. There's certain targets you have to hit, and if you don't hit those targets, stay at home.
Yeah.
That's how we like it. In the girls, because they're girls, we can be a bit more lenient. So unfortunately, Craig Sandercock is a real over-educated development coach. That didn't end. That ended during the year because business decisions. So the coaches were left alone, so to speak. They didn't. Barry got moved on and Craig got moved on, but they sort of were left alone. So when they think they're doing a really good job, they didn't have that mentor to say, "Hang on, no, that's not how it works. You got to go back, strip it back down again, go back to basics." And this is nothing against the coaches, but we look at 1%ers, so we look at individuals rather than team. So if each individual does their job, this team's going to be good. We don't train to win. No. We train to develop. And if you can develop, the better you develop as a coach, the better you're going to get results. So our players can run on while everyone's nervous. They know their role no matter who they're playing against.
Yeah.
Penrith Panthers do it better than anyone else. It was a really good scoreline yesterday for the Dogs, but if you look at the week before, I think it was Manly. They were behind. I can't remember who, but it might have been Manly. They were behind. Penrith didn't change. They stuck to the basic, they believed in each other, and they took away the win. Yeah. This is what development is for me. So when I know, I don't get involved with coaching, I don't change what the coach does, but when I know someone's changed what we picked up on, I ring them and I tell them, you must stick to these.
Yeah.
They're the reasons why you're over here.
Yeah.
And Evelyn, we changed those things.
Yeah.
And it did make a difference. She's gone back to being herself in Queensland. She's blown them away. Everyone's like, who's this girl?
Yeah, wow.
No one even knows that she got man of the match already.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. So
yeah,
that's
like in the Queensland comp, the schoolgirls, she's blowing everyone away. But this is how I want every player to be. If you just believe in yourself, we've got this tradition of, I made the Bulldogs and the coach said this, but the coach is not invested just in you.
Yeah.
They say they are, but they're not. They're invested in a team. The coach gets the accolades. I won the whole thing, but the players, they get a $2 trophy, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But they buy into the hype of the clothing. Look how good it looks, and they're always wearing it. Fantastic. I just think if we focus on the individuals and then as a team and have all for one, one for all, you get a better result. Yeah. So very rarely I've got to jump in and speak to them and see what's going on in the player's mind. Yeah. And they'll say, I'm not allowed to do this, or I can't. That's, mate, I'm happy to pull the player out.
Yeah.
When this is over, you're not going to get this. When I say you've got to retain a player, you're not going to get this player again. I don't change their ways of what a club's trying to do. That's not my right to do that. Yeah. But we have a right to change clubs or change teams that's suitable for that player that actually works all year round to get to that certain level. All
right. Well, thank you so much, John. You've had such great insight, and I think hopefully this answers a lot of the questions that people probably have about player agents. I know you don't like that name, and clearing up
proud player agent.
but clearing up the misconceptions, I guess, between being a player agent and I think that's going to help a lot of people understand your role more with the players and parents kind of appreciating the part that you play. But I think that's it from me. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
I'm going to say there are player agents that can do what we do. Everyone does it different. I'm more invested in what our pathway system looks like, and I'm got more surprises that people don't even know. So when you say stacked up for the next teams that you see, people don't even know who these players are. These players don't even know how good they are. So I'll give you a name that I just looked at in the morning. that I'm about to sign up, her name is Betsy. That's all I'm going to say.
Cool.
This girl doesn't even rate herself. What I saw now, I'm almost guaranteeing that she's going to be an NRLW player when she gets into our program over here. So it shows you there's so much more behind the scenes. I would never do an interview like this with anyone. And I'm doing this because your platform is the voice of the players. I'm talking about a player that's 12 years old that says, I want to play football, I don't know what to do. You're the voice of a person that's an NRLW player that says, I don't agree with the hierarchy, but I'm not allowed to say anything.
Yeah.
They can comfortably reach out to you and say, this is what my view is. If they say, can you keep it discreet? You will keep it discreet. And you're so neutral.
Yeah.
You're the voice of everything. And I would honestly can't see myself doing this interview. I never pictured this, but I was always going to say yes to you because of what your purpose is.
Thank you.
I hope we get a lot more followers, and I hope we get any club members, board members, jump on board, and we need to be supportive of this Watch Your Footy so that we can have a voice for the players and you get to see behind the scenes what's going in their minds. So we need to thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, John.
Take it easy.
Bye.